No, no, don't adjust your monitors. This really is the colour of my nose. Yes, I'm poorly. However, the show must go on. Galaxy Nexus, the cynic's short version of the review would be that this is effectively a Nexus S with a larger, higher resolution screen, and it costs a heck of a lot more. £500 SIM-free, almost £600 for the 32GB version. Wow. But there's a lot more of interest here in the usual phone show investigative style. The sleek ultra black look hides a number of distinct improvements over the older model, and yes, at least one backward step. Plus, I can't still quite get my head around the value for money angle with this. At 4.65 inches, one of the largest displays in the smartphone world, at full 720p resolution with Super AMOLED technology, is the standout highlight in the phone, and one that sets the standard for the rest of the phone world to follow. Eagle-eyed observers will point out the display is pentile and not RGB, but I challenge anyone to really spot the dots at this high-end 1280 by 720 pixel resolution. Nice and clear for general phone UI use, the display really does come into its own when watching video material either streamed via YouTube or sideloaded. I say sideloaded, but there's an important small caveat here. Because Google and Samsung have implemented an iPhone and Windows Phone-like file system, essentially all one piece, all one disk as shown here, with no logical divisions, you can't then just plug the Galaxy Nexus into a PC and expect it to show up for file transfer. Instead, you need to use Windows MTP, that's Media Transfer Protocol support, or install Google's official file transfer tool for the Mac. It all works well enough in practice, mind you, and there's the benefit that you'll never run out of room for installed applications ever again. Unless you actually run out of room completely, of course. Out of the box, you get 13.3 gigabytes to play with, and that's it. No way of adding to this, there's no card slot. If you suspect that you can't fit in all your apps, music, videos, maps, and so on comfortably inside 13 gigabytes, then the Galaxy Nexus in this form is a non-starter. Remember that you've also got to leave room for captured photos and videos, the latter at well over 100 megabyte per minute of footage. This non-expandability is really part of a modern trend, presumably geared to making life easier for the new user. But I'd just like to say right now that this sucks. Galaxy Nexus fans will claim you don't need more storage because you can stream music via Google Music or similar, you can stream video via YouTube, that all maps can be grabbed over the air as well. But then all this relies on you having high-speed mobile internet everywhere, and that's not necessarily true. And it will all help hit your battery life hard. Even at 1750 milliamp hours, the Galaxy Nexus only just made it to the end of the day, thanks to having to run the display at full brightness to make it worthwhile having Super AMOLED in the first place. And of course, thanks to the power-hungry and completely unnecessary white backgrounds in People, Gmail, Calendar, and Google+, to name but 4 of the core apps. Yes, you can swap in another battery if you're prepared, but note that the battery cover at the rear is extremely fiddly to put back on with about a dozen different clips. You really are not going to want to do that every single day. If it sounds like I'm ranting, then it's because I really, really wanted to love the Galaxy Nexus and its gorgeous screen at full brightness, at least. Yet this string of caveats means that owning the device would be an exercise in frustration. Yes, some of the negatives can also be applied at the Nexus S, which I still enjoy, but then this has got a USB disk mode. It shoots videos which use far less of the precious internal memory and has a screen which is far more average. So I'm not going to want to stop and watch HD movies on it in the first place, which means the battery will last longer. Pros and cons. The Galaxy Nexus is also obviously larger, another centimetre or so taller, but this is forgivable in the current day. It's amazing how I find myself now accepting a phone form factor which would have seemed outrageous just a few years ago. In part, this is because even this behemoth is still usable one-handed, more or less. The positioning of the main lock button on the right-hand side for easy thumb access is just so much more useful than something tucked away at the top. Aside from the glorious display, the Galaxy Nexus is unremarkable as a 2012 Android smartphone, to be honest, other than being more or less the sole representative of pure Android, pure ice cream sandwich, as Google intends. There's a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor inside. You can tell it's working because it gets very hot here at the back, near the top when you run a flash video in the browser, or something equally demanding. I did like the return of the LED notification light hidden under the glass here near the bottom. You can probably just see it pulsing every now and then to let me know I've got a new email. I missed this light on the Nexus S. Android 4 itself is pleasant to work with, as I've reported on before in the phone show. Annoyances like AMOLED unfriendliness here aside in the calendar. NFC is built into near-field communications, as it was on the Nexus S. So in that regard, the Galaxy Nexus is future-proof. And Android beams here Google's first version of NFC-initiated object sharing, though it's quite limited here, as you can see. This is a web page on the Nexus S. Tap the two devices together and tap the screen to confirm. And after a moment or two, the web page appears as if by magic on the Galaxy Nexus. But you can't share photos, the single biggest device sharing use case. Oh well, it'll come in an update. Android 4 is a step forwards for the OS as a whole, but it doesn't mean I can't moan a little at the same time. The Galaxy Nexus's star turn are the virtual Android control keys, all part of the AMOLED screen and really effective, and able to disappear altogether when playing videos. Very useful and the direction other Android smartphones will go in the future. Controversially, the camera is limited to 5 megapixels on the Galaxy Nexus, mainly to enable very fast shot-to-shot times. You can snap 2 or 3 photos a second if you're sure you're already focused and you hold the phone steady enough. Snap, snap, snap. Could be useful on a kid's sports day, I guess. Some of my test photos turned out quite well, though, with a fairly small 1/4-inch optical format sensor and only LED flash. Evening shots are as rubbish as on every other non-Xenon equipped smartphone, as shown here at the recent PSC Christmas pub meet. I cannot believe that the last Android phone to have Xenon flash was the now ancient Motorola XT720. And there's no macro mode here, leading to many close-up shots being focused all wrong, as shown here. Mind you, I did like the built-in panorama feature. Most other devices and platforms need extra software for this. Video capture is excellent on the Galaxy Nexus at 720p shown here, or 1080p with continuous autofocus and really crisp audio. Well done, Google and Samsung. There's also this completely gimmicky space background effect and disco, the disco. Also notable is that the front-facing camera is also 720p. The first time I've seen this in a phone, perfect for HD Google Plus Hangouts, bandwidth permitting. Belying the premium purchase price, I do have one other hardware complaint besides the fact that the phone's all plastic and weighs almost nothing. Samsung has put in the weediest, cheapest speaker it can find. This is max volume, with the result that speakerphone calls, video playback, as here, listening to podcasts around the house, game audio, and so on, are all adversely affected. It's a crying shame, it really is. This is maximum volume and quality. Samsung made this £500 device and they put in a loudspeaker that costs 10p. And so it's with a heavy heart that I say you're probably better off saving your money and giving the Galaxy Nexus a miss. If you want to play with pure Android 4, get a Nexus S for less than £200 and update it like I did to ICS. If you simply must have an HD screen, then don't worry, there are plenty of other HD screen handsets coming in the next few months, many of which will outgun the Galaxy Nexus significantly. And if you simply want the best Android-powered phone, the now much cheaper Galaxy S2 is probably still leader of the pack. Your comments on my verdict welcome over on my YouTube channel. In the meantime, I give you Google's take on the 2012 Android flagship, the Galaxy Nexus.